If you've been waiting years for Samsung to finally give its Ultra phones a bigger battery, the Galaxy S26 Ultra might actually be the moment you stopped believing would ever happen. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It really helps me keep bringing you more tech breakdowns like this one. A new leak claims Samsung is breaking its long-standing 5,000 mAh barrier. And while it's only a slight bump, the move says a lot more about the company's priorities than the number itself. For context, Samsung has shipped 5,000 mAh batteries in its Ultra flagships for so long that it became part of the phone's identity. It didn't matter how expensive the phone got, how much performance improved, or how demanding features became, that 5,000 mAh ceiling just wouldn't budge. Users got used to the idea that Samsung simply wasn't interested in pushing battery capacity any further. So the surprising part isn't the jump to 5,200 mAh on the S26 Ultra, it's that Samsung finally decided to move at all. And that matters for a couple of reasons. First, smartphones aren't getting less power hungry. Displays are more advanced, chipsets are more powerful, and AI features now run constantly in the background. A tiny battery increase won't transform your battery life overnight, but it signals something users have wanted, that Samsung recognizes endurance can't stay flat while everything else evolves. Second, Apple has been quietly closing the gap. The iPhone 17 Pro Max finally matched Samsung's long-held 5,000 mAh mark this year. And when Apple catches up, Samsung usually responds, sometimes late, sometimes reluctantly, but always deliberately. That alone might explain why Samsung is making this change now. The leak adds another interesting twist. Samsung is still slimming the phone down despite adding more battery. That's the part that raises an eyebrow because normally you pick one, thin design or bigger battery. Achieving both suggests something new is happening backstage in Samsung's engineering. According to earlier reports, the canceled or maybe not Galaxy S26 Edge project may have been the testing ground. Samsung was said to be pushing lithium-ion battery tech to its limits there, figuring out how to shave weight and thickness without sacrificing capacity. Even if the Edge never hits shelves, its R&D fingerprints might be all over the S26 Ultra. And honestly, that's exactly how innovation usually works. Even failed projects leave behind ideas that eventually ship. Alongside the battery bump, the S26 Ultra is also rumored to finally upgrade to 60-watt charging. Again, not a groundbreaking number when competitors have been hitting triple digits for years, but for Samsung, it's a meaningful shift. The company has been extremely conservative with charging speeds because of its past battery controversies, but consumers have wanted faster charging for a long time. Pairing a slightly larger battery with a noticeably quicker charge is at least a move in the right direction. Of course, there's a more cynical interpretation. Samsung is doing the bare minimum to stay ahead of Apple. If Apple hadn't increased its own battery capacity, would Samsung have stayed at 5,000 mAh for yet another generation? Maybe. That pattern isn't new. Many of Samsung's more consumer-friendly upgrades tend to happen only when Apple applies pressure. It's not flattering, but it does seem to be the dance both companies have been doing for years. Samsung innovates in design or display tech, Apple pushes battery or long-term usability, and both chase each other in cycles. But regardless of the motivation, the result is positive for users. The Ultra line has always been the model that's supposed to represent the peak of Samsung's capabilities. And a phone at that level shouldn't feel stuck in place on something as fundamental as battery life. Even a 200 mAh increase is symbolic, a sign that Samsung is finally willing to tweak one of the Ultra's most stubborn specs. What's even more interesting is where this could lead. Battery technology is at a point where small improvements require disproportionately large engineering jumps. You can't just add more battery without affecting heat, size, weight, durability, and charging behavior. That's why enthusiasts keep hoping for silicon-carbon batteries or other next-gen chemistry. If Samsung really did push the limits with the S26 Edge research, the S26 Ultra could be the first small step towards something bigger. Maybe the company is finally preparing to break out of the lithium-ion plateau. So even though 5,200 mAh doesn't sound like a dramatic upgrade, it represents a shift in direction. It means Samsung is no longer content with holding the line while the entire industry moves forward. It means the company isn't willing to let Apple stand shoulder to shoulder on battery endurance. And it means that the Ultra, a device that's supposed to be unapologetically premium, is getting a little closer to what users have been asking for. If anything, this leak suggests Samsung is paying attention again. And in a year where competition is getting tougher and battery expectations are rising fast, even a small change feels like the start of something overdue. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Take care.